What brings you to the protest today?
Well, we've got to remain free. We've had enough of this lockdown. I'm actually a scientist. I've had 4 lab jobs. I knew this was wrong from nearly the beginning.
I'm worried about the state of our democracy. Watching it turn into a fascist state at the moment has sort of brought out the activist in both of us, I think.
What are your views?
That we're being manipulated, or the whole COVID situation is a manipulation on true facts for a deeper agenda to encourage vaccination. Quite why is obviously there's lots of conspiracy theories about what's going on there, leading to vaccine passport, but ultimately just leading to more control.
You've got propagandists who have jumped on board with the New World Order's Klaus Schwab agenda to change the financial system, basically increase the control mechanisms, eventually leading to social scoring, which is what they do in China.
We shouldn't be in lockdown. We should not be in lockdown.
Why is being forced into lockdown a moral issue to you?
Well, we want to be free. We are free, sovereign beings. That's what we are. And they are trying to lock us down, control us, and that is wholly wrong.
Do you think more broadly, when it comes to ethics, causing someone to suffer is an ethical issue and should be avoided?
Yes, and the damage that they've done to our children. I mean, I don't have kids personally, but I have a niece and nephew in Australia. You see, parents are coming out here. They're really pissed off at what they've done to the children, masking them, taking them out of school, all of that kind of stuff. It's totally unethical.
Would you say that causing others to suffer, is that wrong morally, and should that be avoided if possible?
Without a doubt. Isn't that kind of self-evident?
Yeah, I think so.
I was linking it with the 5G telemetry, the way that 5G works in regard to the metals inside your bodies, etc., etc. The two paradigms came together, and that was what Piers Corbyn was campaigning against. Of course, it sounded so ridiculously outlandish, but actually, when you do the research, a lot of it's true. Mobile phone, 2, 3, 4G mobile phone technology proven to give you cancer.
You believe that the government, by forcing people to be in lockdown and making them be socially distanced, that's causing a harm to people. It's causing suffering.
Definitely. Especially mental health issues.
Right.
Especially.
And would you say it's wrong for society or government or an organisation to cause others to suffer needlessly?
Well, that's self-evident, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a given. That is totally immorally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wrong.
And to switch to a different context of a different ethical issue, what about non-humans? So animals like dogs and cats, would it be wrong to cause them to suffer?
Of course it's wrong.
So for instance, if I was to...
They're sentient beings.
Right. So because they're sentient, they have the capacity to suffer, we should take that into consideration.
They feel pain.
Right, yeah.
I wish pain on nobody.
Mm-hmm. So for instance, dog fighting...
Dog fighting, wrong.
Yeah.
Cockfighting, wrong.
And what about animal farming? What about breeding and killing animals for food?
That's a sort of a half and half kind of issue.
Do you feel like it's wrong to keep animals trapped in cages and to harm them for food?
Absolutely, it's disgusting. I mean, it's just despicable what they do in the farming industry. It's absolutely hideous.
Do you guys think there is a humane way to kill?
Not really.
No. I mean, there is, because you could argue that we put animals down when they're suffering.
Right.
So I wouldn't want my dog to be suffering, say, if it had a condition that was hurting it. I think it should be a personal choice, though. You have this whole debate about euthanasia in humans and suffering and dying with dignity. I absolutely think that comes back to personal autonomy and liberty. So there is, an ethical way to do it, and leaving it up to the liberty of the actual person to decide when they go. That, to me, is that's the ethical discussion in there.
I agree. I guess when it comes to animals, it's a bit more tricky because they can't tell us. So in the case of dogs, I suppose we do what we think is in their best interest.
Yeah.
So if they're suffering, we don't want them to suffer. We do it for them. I guess when it comes to animals, are we doing it for them, like farmed animals, or is it more for what we want? If we think about non-human animals, I don't know, like let's say a dog, would an action that causes the dog to suffer, would that also be wrong?
It would.
So like dog fighting, we'd say it's morally wrong.
We would.
And what about in animal farming? So causing animals to suffer for food, for meat, eggs, dairy?
That is also wrong. It's kind of obvious, but people don't think about it. You know, you go to the supermarket, you buy your chicken for £2.99, and you don't think about where it's been. And all you need to do is watch only one documentary on Netflix, and you shouldn't be eating that sort of chicken again.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't be eating chicken again. But
I mean, I guess it's understandable, really, because our parents give it to us. It's a social norm. It's easy to go through life without questioning these things because it's so normal to eat these products. It's a habit.
Our landscape has been polluted, it's been poisoned, the animals are polluted, poisoned. Man is polluted and poisoned. Obesity is a problem with poisoning in food. Sugar, no, you're very, very healthy. If that's organic in there, you're fine.
What do you think? Do you think it's wrong for humans to cause animals to suffer?
Without a doubt, we don't need to eat flesh. We don't need to.
I'm not against meat farmers. On our farm, we recognise that without animals, you don't get the insects, you don't get the biodiversity. Therefore, that has a knock-on effect right down the food chain. So you can have... In permaculture, we raise animals in a very, very friendly, beautiful, very, very emotional, spiritual way. We're friends with those animals so that they understand that they are for the table.
And then we kill them.
But they do understand that they're for the table.
Do you think the animals? Do you think the animals understand that they're to be killed?
No. Well, we've bred animals that know they're for the plate now. You look at
how do you know that they know?
Well, because 2 days ago,
They hear their brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers screaming.
yes, when they were getting sheared.
They gas them in the chambers.
No, we had the
Everything that's happening today with the food industry, trying to remember the guy's name, Professor, I forget his name, but he's an expert and he studied this from...
Do you guys think that a vegan UK would be a place with less suffering, a better place?
Yeah, I mean, arguably yes, but it's obviously, again, you need to come. The ethical question is: do we impose these ideas on other people, or do we allow them to come to the awakening themselves? Because I think, whilst I'm very much,
it becomes forcing.
it's
another avenue
your
to
viewpoint on somebody else, much like the government has been doing to us. So it has to be.
That's interesting. I guess one point to put out there is that I guess by harming the animals, we're forcing our viewpoint onto the animals, right? We're forcing the knives into their throats. We're forcing them to suffer.
There is the other argument. If you go purely plant-based, then you're having to do a lot of tillage to get the same. Well, it's not true. It's not true.
That's bullshit. Because look at what's happening with farming. They have to grow the crops to feed the animals.
Right, that's true.
Well,
It's bullshit, mate.
You can't be a libertarian and go, this is my ideas and I'm imposing them on you. It has to be something that the person agrees to, otherwise you're taking away personal autonomy.
Are you just replacing
don't-
one
yeah,
enforcer with
with
another
another.
enforcer? It just doesn't make sense.
Let me put this in another context then, okay? What if I was killing humans and eating them? And I say, but it's my personal choice. Why should the government force me not to kill?
Well, because there's laws in place from hundreds of years ago which state that if you break the social contract, you are no longer allowed into society, and that's the same. So murderers, people killing and eating other humans have broken the social contract.
Right.
So that for me means they go to jail, they're punished. There are laws in place to, curtail people doing whatever they want.
When there was no social contract to protect people of colour, it was legal, it was part of the social norm to have them as slaves. We had to change that So I guess you could say it's kind of a similar situation with animals, where currently it's legal, it's social norm, but perhaps we need to change it. You'd support making changes to a world where we live without eating animals, without harming animals for food.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd rather live in a world without slaughterhouses.
Exactly. In an ideal world, yes. Yeah. And we should aim for that.
Here's my card. My YouTube channel's at the bottom there.
I'll have a look.
Let's say if you could click your fingers today to create a vegan UK, would you do it? Would you rather live in that world?
Billion percent. Billion percent.